Saltpeter was mined in Indiana caves for the War of 1812. Here's Little Wyandotte Cave and a salamander at the entrance, and a cave cricket. The first room you walk into is stalactites, and there's an owl. Stalactites from the ceiling. This cave is full of formations. Here they're going down to walk across a bridge over a 30-foot pit. On the other side of the pit, there's this corncob formation. Giant stalagmite column with flowstone around it. After leaving that area, you go into the smaller part of the cave with many formations. This looks like a prison. Different colors represent different minerals. The darker the mineral, the more magnesium. Some of the reds are from the light, but also from iron. The water looks a little bit green from pennies that were thrown in there. A cave cricket right at the exit of the small cave. Now we'll go to the big cave. This is the natural entrance. They've added steps to make it more convenient to get in and out. Here's part of the saltpeter mining operation and the entryway to the cave. Has large passageways. This is called the Columbia Arch. You can see why they call it an arch. It's natural. The floor is easy to walk on with these bumps. This is a pole the Indians put in there. The square ones were later put by the tour guides, but the pole was where the Indians could crawl down to an animal pit. Here the Indians put a snake on the wall. This is Indian drawings. The large passageway here is called Washington Avenue. This is an LDS tour group that we happened to run across when we went through. After that avenue, we go into what is called the New Cave. At this entrance, there used to be a large stone that the Indians placed there to hide what they had discovered inside the cave. And what they discovered was flint quarries, where they could mine flint. Behind the red tape there is where the bats would have their bat nursery. The little bats would receive milk from their mothers in there. So it is cordoned off. This is climbing up to one of the larger flint quarries that the Indians would use. Here's some of the flint stones, and
which I have one of up here. Please don't pick it up, it's very heavy and I don't want anybody to crush their toes. But they would have used the nodules as opposed to the veins, and they would have used them to make arrowheads, spearheads, and all kinds of other tools. Now they preferred the nodules to the veins because the veins...
The old tour guides used to ask people to pick up stones and move them off the trail. Made it easier to go through, and they would charge them a lesser fee if they would do that. So they have lots of monuments in some areas of the cave. Here we are leaving the monument room. Oh. Her flashlight looked like lightning for a second, and then she stopped. That was good. That's a good trick. One of our tours had many bats. And here's one place where they were flying out of a hole. It was too dark for me to get a good picture of what was going on, but they were constantly coming out of there. As we looked down the passenger passageway, you could see the many bats that were flying around that had come out of that hole. Here we are in one of the larger rooms of the cave. They say it's the third largest room in the cave. It's often called the Capitol Room. Again, I was impressed with the bats flying through the ceiling. They were just flying all over like birds. The reason they call it a Capitol Room is because of the echo. It sounds like it's in the rotunda of the U.S. Capitol.
You're going to notice the atmosphere changing. It's going to become more wet.
As we leave this Capitol Room, as it's called, we found a rock that looked like a piece of petrified wood, a log. The ceiling gets a little more narrow, and it looks like it's been washed with water as there's waves in the rocks. Some of them have eerie looking knobs and twists.
In case we get an earthquake. When you get an earthquake in the cave, like the earthquake happens, we probably won't feel it.
After we leave that room where the ceiling has all those waves, we enter into an area that has a lot of stalactites. On one tour, the lights were out, and so they gave us helmets and lanterns on our helmets. There's some columns. Some of the stalactites are white, and others are very dark, just depending on the minerals that are leached from the rock above. Here's a stalactite that's been cut. These are helictites. They grow in abundance in several passages in any direction. They go up and down and sideways. Here's a bat. This is one of the most beautiful rooms in the cave, though it's small. It has a reflection pool, and almost every formation possible is in this room. Then we go through more passageways that had to be dug out. They were formerly crawl spaces. In one, it looks like there's an alligator back. And then we walk up. We're at the bottom of the mountain room now. We'll soon ascend to the top. Up the ship's ladder. Very steep climb here. When we get up to the top of the ladder, there's this huge room. They say if the rubble was removed, it'd be large enough to fit 3 727 airplanes end to end in it. There's 3 different layers of limestone. And the stalactite you see it on top of the mountain is 8 foot tall. And the round part above the stalactite, it's actually flat, horizontal to the earth. It's a great optical illusion, the way the rocks have circled around it and made it look like a wall when it's really a flat ceiling. Here we are walking up the trail up to the mountain top. That was where the seats where we were taking pictures from. When you get up to the top, you can see that the stalactite's not even under that round flat ceiling. As we cross over the top of the mountain room, we can look back up and see the flat ceiling and a very egg-shaped ceiling. And then there's a long series of steps getting back down, still in the same room. When we get to the bottom of these steps, you get another picture, opposite side of the room, just showing how large the room actually is, how tall the mountain is inside of the room. Soon we leave the Monument Mountain room and enter into an area that used to have meetings with the Oddfellows Society. And soon we'll be walking out of the cave through a few passageways here to get back where we started. And then we double back through the Washington's Avenue and out.